Welcome to the show. My favourite story of the week was definitely this.
Now, if 2020 felt weird, welcome to 2021, when Nicki Minaj's world collided with Chris Whitty. England's chief medical officer was today asked at the Downing Street press conference for his professional opinion on a series of anti-vax tweets posted by the pop star.
In my view, they should be ashamed.
Whitty versus Minaj. What a battle of minds. Chris Whitty famous for saying, please don't delay your vaccine. Nicki Minaj famous for saying, this pussy clean, this pussy squeaky, that pussy old, that pussy creaky. Chris says, masks help protect other people. Nicki says, maybe it's time to put the pussy on your sideburns. They're very different people. So why the beef? Well, it all started when Nicki sent this tweet. My cousin in Trinidad won't get the vaccine because his friend got it and became impotent. His testicles became swollen. His friend was weeks away from getting married. Now the girl called off the wedding. Wow. A, you don't get swollen balls from the vaccine. And B, that has got to be the worst way to be jilted ever. Imagine that, entering the church, your bollocks in a wheelbarrow. She just looks at you and goes, nah. What I want to know, how swollen were they? Were the ushers holding them? Did he bounce in like a space hopper? Did he teabag the vicar? Amazingly, it didn't end with Chris Whitty. Look who else got dragged into this saga.
I'm not familiar with the works of, or not as familiar with the works of Nicki Minaj as I probably could be.
He prefers Cardi B. I'm told... It's true, I'm a web chap. So... I'm 41. So... Was that the end of it? Nope. Nicki sent Boris this insane voice note.
Hello, Prime Minister Boris. It's Nicki Minaj. I was just calling to tell you that I thought you were so amazing on the news this morning. And I'm actually British. I was born there. I went to university there. I went to Oxford. I went to school with Margaret Thatcher.
You didn't, Nicki. Margaret Thatcher was born in 1925. She famously said, the lady's not for turning. You said, let her eat my arse like a cupcake. What, like eat half and give rest to the dog? I don't know how to do that. How freaked out would you be if somebody went, I want you to eat my arse? OK, that's fairly full on as it is. Like a pudding. That would be weird if a bloke went, I want you to suck my dick like an apple crumble. Do you know what I mean? Wouldn't it be great if Boris sent a voice message back to Nicki? Wouldn't that be great? Nicki! I didn't know you went to Oxford. Do you know Bunty Timpson? His balls were huge too. Anyway, I gotta go. Someone's eating my ass like a cupcake. Bye! Now, it wasn't just Britain. The Trinidadian health minister had to make a statement.
As we stand now, there is absolutely no reported such side effect or adverse event of testicular swelling in Trinidad or Algeria, Dr. Hanks, anywhere else. None that we know of anywhere else in the world.
Which means that some poor sod had to go door to door checking nuts. Just fine, fine, fine. This isn't what I signed up for, Sharon. Fine. Oh, that one's a bit wonky, but some of them are. It's crazy. The vaccine doesn't affect your nuts. It doesn't affect your sex life in any way. I mean, listen to this urologist. The greater risk is not getting the vaccine because it's very hard to have good sex when you're dead. Exactly. It's very hard to have good sex when you're dead. It's not impossible. But it's very hard, and it would definitely change the funeral. Like, oh, I suppose Nana did like cupcakes. It isn't. I miss her. It isn't just Nicki Minaj spreading bullshit. Did you hear about this? South African pastor farts on people's faces to heal them. Heal them from what? Smelling nice? In case you don't believe me, here he is tending to his flock. Look at his face! That is the look of a man going, I cannot believe I'm getting away with this. He's such a charlatan. Listen to how he justifies his medicine. According to the pastor, farting near the person's nostrils is important so the healing power can enter the body to do its work. Exactly. Jesus fed the 5,000. He didn't shart up their noses. My favourite part of this story is the pastor's name. Christ Penelope. Which is presumably what they shout when he gets his ring piece out. Worryingly, it isn't just celebs and vicars confusing people. Did you see the latest British government advice about masks?
Ministers say they're continuing to recommend the wearing of masks in enclosed spaces.
And here they are on the day they announced this. The entire cabinet, no fucking mask. Look at that. If they were any closer, they'd be inside each other. But it doesn't matter, because according to Sajid Javid, there's a special way around COVID.
People should consider wearing masks in crowded places when they are with strangers, when they are with people that they are not normally spending time with.
That's the Health Secretary suggesting you can only catch COVID from a stranger. Like COVID's there going, right, I'm going to infect... Oh, better not, they're friends on Facebook. The problem with all this confusion and misinformation, it leads to people like this.
This isn't a vaccine. This is some kind of a bio-pharma injection.
Operational system to download people to connect them to 5G.
Coronavirus is a scam.
Ask your doctor what's in the vaccine.
I want to be free. I want to live my life.
The science is ridiculous.
How many vaccines have you had? Have you been a good little Nazi?
Whoa! Easy, Nickelback. Anti-vaxxers, man. They're not the brightest bunch. I mean, who could forget the moment these geniuses attacked the BBC? There's only one problem. Unfortunately, anti-vaccine protesters stormed the BBC HQ 8 years after it moved out. Like, look at that. Let us in, you BBC Nazis! Have they? Yeah. Right, let's go down Woolworths. You're joking. So how, not Woolies, how are the government convincing anti-vaxxers to take the jab? Hard facts? Pulling on their heartstrings? Nope. They're offering kebabs for jabs. They're bribing them. One bloke applauded there. They're bribing them with chicken donors. It is so British. We want to make sure that you stay healthy by giving you something that is only eaten by people when they're utterly shit-faced. Imagine if it worked. Imagine having your whole ideology swayed by junk food. I'm totally against the vaccine. Nothing will change my mind. Cheesy chips.
I'm listening.
Kebabs for jabs. In America, they're getting a little bit more. West Virginia to give away guns as COVID-19 vaccine incentive. Exactly, only in America where they try to reduce the death rate by handing out rifles. It's like trying to cure COVID with vicar turds. As in, Christ. One of my... That was a lovely... Hey? Oh. Now, one of my favourite incentives was from Singapore. I'm still not sure if this is an advert for jabs or a bad acid trip.
Everybody, it's time to vaccinate. Faster, no time to waste.
But you are easy, confirm say.
Aya, Rosie, come on, be brave. The vaccine is not anyhow wet, and against COVID, it will protect Singapore. OSC, you better get your shot. Steady from BP.
That's what you'd see if you drank a lava lamp. But I love it. I have so many questions. Why is it filmed on the set of Bob the Builder? Why has he stolen Mickey Flanagan's hair? And crucially, why is he wearing wellies? Let's be honest, governments can try kebabs, guns, Pompey, P. It just won't get through. They're dealing with people like this.
I think it is time where God is separating the sheep from the goats.
What are you?
I am I'm a goat because I ain't a sheep. I'm not doing what they tell me to do.
She's a goat. I think this guy puts it best. That's actually the noise that comes out of the vicar's arsehole. Talking of animals, have you seen what some anti-vaxxers are taking?
With COVID cases surging, federal health officials are once again sounding the alarm about a spike in the number of people using ivermectin for COVID. It's a drug to fight parasites in horses and cows that's been promoted on cable TV.
They're taking deworming tablets for horses. It's nuts. You don't want to be treated like a horse when you're ill. One broken leg? Yeah, night-night Seabiscuit. And where does the horse meat end up? During up the break, and I'll be chatting to one of Britain's most exciting new musicians, Tom Grennan. Do you want to come boxing? Yeah, I'll go boxing. You rock up. Beckham, one of the most famous footballers ever, is there, fit as fuck, boxing.
I know, yeah.
God.
It was surreal, man. But as soon as I left the place, I rang up all my mates. Boxing with Beckham, knocked him right out.
Welcome back to the show. My first guest tonight is one of Britain's finest singer-songwriters. Tom Grennan is one of Britain's hottest new musicians. He burst onto the scene after being included in BBC Sounds of 2017 with his debut album storming to number 5 in the UK charts, before featuring on Calvin Harris's smash summer single, By Your Side. And he's just released his new single, Don't Break the Heart, from his #1 album, Evering Road. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the wonderful Tom Grennan! Thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me.
You look fantastic.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be on this chair.
And I love this outfit.
Thank you, yeah.
You're sort of somewhere between a sort of French king and John Travolta.
I'll take it. I feel like I'm like camouflaged a bit, though.
It works,
I'm like a floating head.
But we, what I was going to say, when we touched elbows,
yeah,
I read something. I didn't know this about you.
Yeah.
But apparently you've got a fear of elbows.
Yeah, I do. This whole, like, pandemic thing and people do it, I'm, like, nearly sick watching people do that. But, yeah, I do. I don't like elbows. I don't know what it was. I think when I was younger, I hit my funny bone really hard.
Yeah.
And, like, it sent, like, tingles up to my little fingers.
Yeah.
And, like, just the thought of it makes me feel sick. And now, like, touching them or... Like, if you want to cream your elbow, I'm like that.
So what, and is there a specific type of elbow you find too much?
Nah, every elbow is
Isn't
pretty...
that weird?
Yeah.
But you play football, and so when someone gives you the elbow...
Yeah.
Is that why
A little bit, maybe. Little one in the ribs. Jamie Carragher did it the other day.
Well, I saw it. I don't know if anyone saw Soccer Aid, but Tom had a very good game.
It was fun.
It was good.
But you got a few elbows, yeah.
But you also gave him some as well.
Yeah, I tried. I definitely tried.
But we've actually got a show reel of you during Soccer Aid. I think we might be able to play it now. There you go. Drifts.
See you later, Rudy.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
But what was that like?
That was up there with like the top experiences of my life.
Yeah.
Roberto Carlos,
Yeah.
Robbie Keane,
Yeah.
like Usain Bolt, and then obviously playing against like Rooney, Scholes, Gary Neville.
We didn't just play against Rooney, you dropped the shoulder on Rooney.
Dropped it a few times, mate.
That must be weird.
Yeah, it was weird. Do you know what was the weirdest thing? Like, after the game, him coming up to me and going, I tried kicking you a few times, but I just couldn't get near you. I was like, nah, don't worry about it, Rooney, mate. Don't worry about it. But it was fun.
But it isn't just Rooney. You've been, haven't you been hanging out with Beckham?
I went boxing with Beckham, yeah. And it was when I was, like, really unfit as well.
But how does that come about?
My mate knows him, and he was like, do you want to come boxing? Didn't tell me that Bex was coming, and then I'm like, like, hero, do you know what I mean? But having to act cool, I'm like, you all right, mate? What are you saying? It was that kind of thing.
All right, Tom, how are you?
Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, I was really unfit at that time, and I was like, oh, my God, I'm going to be sick. Bex is next to me, just having it like that. And I'm like, and I ran off, and I actually got sick. And Beckham's, like, looking at me like that. This, like, loser. You know what I mean? I'm like, come on, Bex.
But that's also... Your mate should have told you.
Yeah, I know he should have, yeah.
Prepare you for that. Do you want to come boxing? Yeah, I'll go boxing. You rock up. One of the most famous footballers ever is there. Fit as fuck, boxing.
I know, yeah. God. It was surreal, man. But like, as soon as I left the place, I rang up all my mates. Boxing with Beckham, knocked him right out. Didn't knock out.
But this is what I find so interesting about you, because like I say, we play football together. You're a really good footballer, but you're also a fantastic musician. But you don't. You kind of look like you equally belong to both worlds.
I'll take that all day.
No, but do you know what I mean? Like a bit like with Amy Winehouse or like Adele, where they're sort of chatting away. Someone like Adele's like, yeah, fucking, know what I mean? Like, and then suddenly this voice appears, and you're like, whoa.
Yeah.
And I'm sort of curious. Is that something you've always had?
No. Like when I was younger, I played a lot of football, so and that was my dream. And then I just didn't I hit my prime at like 15.
Yeah.
I was really good at 15. I'll back myself there. But like when I was like, I'm seeing all these other boys coming into the team and they're way better than me. I was like, I probably won't be a footballer. Stopped playing football, and then I don't know, like going out got involved and having a drink got involved, and then the confidence came along with the alcohol, and then there was a karaoke machine, and then.
Oh, so it came from karaoke?
Yeah. And I was singing, and then after it, like, they were like, people, my mates were like, bloody hell, you can sing, you know? And I'm like, no. And then in my head, I'm like, I'm definitely gonna try that.
What was your karaoke song of choice?
It was Seaside by the Kooks.
How does that go?
It goes, I've got a sore throat here, but here we go. Do you want to go to the seaside? I'm not trying to say that everybody wants to go. I fell in love at the seaside. Hand on her charm, time and sleight of hand, and something like that.
There you go. I read an interesting thing about you that seemed utterly horrific, but was part of your sort of transformation. Didn't you get, like, attacked outside of KFC?
Yeah.
When you were young?
Yeah. Well, I was, like, 18.
Yeah.
And in my hometown. And, yeah, I was just outside KFC and got battered and got all my jaws all, like, metal plated and everything like that. And that's really where, like, I first started struggling with, like, mental health and where I realised what that was. And yeah. But I'm so glad it happened, because I wouldn't have started writing songs and I wouldn't have kind of, I don't know, had that courage to go, do you know what, fuck him. I'm going to make sure that I do all right and hopefully see him again and be like, nice one, mate, appreciate it.
Yeah.
Look at where you are. And yeah, and then I've always, from there, just started to write, and it's helped me out. And I'm 5 years in now, and 2 albums in, and it's amazing.
And the latest one, yeah, exactly. The latest one, Evering Road, went in at #1.
Yeah, #1, yeah.
Amazing.
Mad.
What's the meaning behind the album, Evering Road? Is that like a special place you used to live or something?
Yeah, so it's a place in East London where I used to live, and it's about a past relationship, and basically it's me kind of owning up to a lot of things, saying I made mistakes in this relationship, and saying I've learned from the mistakes as well. And unfortunately, like, sometimes relationships don't work out, and that's what happens. But I wanted to, I don't know, write my mistakes and say this is what I've done, and be open with it, and that's how I kind of healed. And yeah, man, it's all about that, really.
I've always been curious about sort of when musicians, like when you kind of write, do you have, a bit like with comics, like my brain will sometimes go brrr, and you're like, yeah, fair enough, yeah, we'll chat about that. But is it that same thing when you're kind of writing songs? Do you have those kind of eureka moments where your brain's like, it's got to be this, or do you have a beat, or?
Yeah, like Little Bit of Love, for example, the song that's out at the moment. Like I was eating a burger in some burger house, and the guys I was writing with it, 2 of my friends, we were sitting having a burger, and I went, I've got it. Honestly, like, we rushed the burger down, went back to the studio, and then, like, recorded it, and we were like, I think we're sitting on something good here.
Yeah.
Should we have another burger?
We should chat as well. You're on Never Mind the Buzzcocks, which is coming up soon. Is that kind of a cool show to be on as a musician? Is that something you watched as a kid? Or?
I did watch it, yeah. It was pretty mad and a bit surreal.
Is that a show that you're sort of nervous about going on? Because it has this reputation of, like, the musicians being rinsed or whatever.
No, I kind of like being rinsed, though.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, Noel, for example, like, definitely, like, rinsed me a little bit.
Really?
Yeah,
Like what?
Well, he kind of rinsed my dad, actually.
What did he say about your dad?
Basically, my dad... I broke my back when I was younger, right?
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah. And I fell off a trampoline, and my dad didn't believe me. And I crawled into the house. I was like, oh, my back's really bad. Like, I need to go to hospital. My dad was like, nah, you're not going to hospital. And I was walking around on a broken back for, like, 6 weeks.
Holy shit.
Yeah. And then we went into the hospital, and... The nurse pulled my dad out. It was like, we might have to get child, like, what are they called?
Protection.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And my dad came back in, he was like, you little shit. It was funny, and I never let him down now. So.
What I love, because you've clearly got a really great relationship with your dad. Like, you post about him on Instagram.
Yeah.
And it feels like he's your kind of #1 fan. It's fantastic.
He is, yeah, for sure, my number
And is he there at the gigs? Is he singing along?
Yeah, he's there.
Does he get in the crowd?
No, what my dad likes to do, he goes to the gigs and, like, he's like, who's looking for me? He's the famous one.
Oh, really?
Yeah. People are coming over to him, Martin. They love him.
My mum used to do that. My favourite memory, we were at Wembley and my mum was at the front. I didn't see this, my brother told me, that my mum was at the front as people were coming in, pointing at herself, going, that's where the magic comes from. Which is a lovely thing to say. But... the weird thing is, they didn't know who she was. So there's just a woman at the front of the gig claiming she's got a magical fan. Life lessons. This week, I asked the comedians about the weirdest encounters they've had with strangers.
The strangest encounter I had with a stranger is one time I went to this music festival and a guy just come up to me and he just went, drugs? And I went, yeah, cool. And I walked off with him and there was a weird situation where we both had like £10 notes in our hands. We were both trying to buy drugs off each other. No one had drugs.
An adult baby started sending me pictures of himself in a nappy and turning up to my shows. Maybe he sensed I was ready to be a mum. Like a 45-year-old Englishman.
A bin man who was taking away my bins to empty into the back of the big truck. And I had a bag of rubbish that I still hadn't put in the bin, so I ran after him, not realising that the bag was actually a very small bag, full of my cat's poo, which for some reason, unbeknownst to me, I just plopped into his hand. So he put his hand out, put a bag of poo in it, and he looked at it, and I ran inside.
The weirdest experience I've had with a stranger is when I worked at the Trafford Centre, and there was a guy came in one day. He was like, "Oh, I suppose you want to know how I came up with a cure for cancer?" And I was like, "What?" I do, actually. And so he told me that he'd made a cure for cancer in his garage, but the big pharmaceuticals were blocking him revealing the patents and things like that.
The most bizarre encounter I ever had with a stranger was an apparent fan who saw me in central London, and he asked me to speak to him. About 20 minutes go by, and I say, "Look, man, I've got a meeting, I've got to get out of here." I walk away, and he starts to follow me and film me at the same time, telling me how much of a piece of shit I am because I didn't give him enough of my time. And he says, "I'm going to unfollow you. When I get home, I'm going to unfollow you." This guy was following me while he's telling me he's going to unfollow me. Well, then stop following me, you bastard.
The most bizarre encounter I've ever had with a stranger was with my wife. She was at the gig with her mum and dad in the front row. I just went on stage, saw an attractive woman, and her parents in the front row decided to mock her. That's what boys do when they like a girl, take the piss, because we stay 8 years old in our minds till we die. And she was like doing Manchester voice, but slightly well-spoken. So I was like, stop pretending to be posh. And I ripped her fake fur jacket off her, and I laid on stage with my legs in the air in front of her mum and dad, placed the jacket on my pelvis and going, "Oh, I'm so posh, I've got mink fur on my vag. Oh, my minky," and was throwing her coat around. Afterwards, I just tweeted one word, "Minky." She was like, "I think that's about me." Follow, follow, message, message, meet up, and now we're married. And on the inside of my wedding ring, it says, "You had me at Minky." Now, if that isn't a weird encounter with a stranger, i.e. humiliation followed by fertilisation, I don't know what is.
My final guest tonight is one of the smartest people on TV. Paul Sinha is a comedian, award-winning broadcaster and quiz legend.
I'm invisible.
After becoming a staple fixture at the Edinburgh Fringe, he found national fame as one of the chasers on ITV's The Chase.
This should be a hell of a lot of fun.
He's just launched a charity campaign with ITV called Invisible Disabilities, and he's back on the road with his latest comedy tour, Hazy Little Thing Called Love. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Paul Sinha! Very much for coming on the show. How are you?
I'm very well, thanks. It's really good to see you, mate.
Yeah, we go way back, don't we? I was thinking, we've known each other...
20 years.
20 years.
That's when you turned up at our flat in Edinburgh and stayed the night.
Oh, you on about the first time we ever met? Or the second time in Edinburgh where I thought I was dying?
First time we met was 2001. I'm good at this sort of thing.
Yeah.
August, when we were doing Big Value, and you came to stay the night. You're doing the student competition or something like that.
That's right.
And then 2006, we were both nominated for the best show at the Edinburgh Festival the same year.
That's
we were
right,
deadly rivals.
We were.
But also Doctor and Patient.
Yes.
As he turned up at about 11 in the morning, asking me to look at a rash.
Yeah. I'll be honest with you, Paul, I didn't realise we were going to do this story, but yeah. But continue.
I was somewhat irritated. I was kind of there to do comedy. And it looked entirely harmless, and I told you so at the time.
You did, and you put my mind at rest. It was a lovely experience. It was...
What did it turn out to be, out of interest?
It was, I believe it was eczema.
Oh, there you go.
And you're back on tour, so...
Yes, a lot of water under the bridge since 2006, has to be said.
Yeah.
And I'm doing a comedy tour called Hazy Little Thing Called Love.
Yeah.
And it's about my year in 2019 as much as anything else, in which I got married, which is quite an achievement, given that I'd spent the first...
That was clearly such a lovely British audience reaction, because if this was an American chat show, if I was Ellen, and clearly I've got the look, as soon as you said that, the crowd would have gone crazy. But there was like three people going, yeah, like that. But it's wonderful.
If this was American, I'd be divorced by now.
So you got married, and you said that was surprising because...
I've been single for so long. I mean, I was a perennially single person. And I did a show in 2011 about the fact I've been single all my adult life. But So I never expected to get married, but things turned out for the best in the end. And also the same year I got diagnosed with Parkinson's disease.
Yeah.
No cheers there, you're well behaved. That was definitely the wrong bit to cheer and break into applause. Yeah, we were out in New Zealand, I think you've been, the Auckland Comedy Festival.
Yeah.
And I realised I'd been walking with a limp for a while and things got a bit dark in my thoughts and I fell face first onto the street and went to a website that tells you whether your fall is alcohol or neurology.
Yeah.
It's called TripAdvisor. It's a very good website, and it turned out I had Parkinson's disease, which is joyous because now I've got one over on Ramesh Ranganathan. I've got one more thing to talk about than he has.
Does it make up... Presumably it makes up a big part of your stand-up show now?
Well, it's not a bleak show.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing with... And every comedian will tell you this. Anything bad that happens to you in your life, you've got to try and make funny.
Yeah.
So it's absolutely not a bleak show. It's more slapstick than bleak, about the reality of having Parkinson's, being diagnosed in such a big year.
Yeah.
But also, 2 months after being diagnosed, I won the British Quiz Championships.
Is it something you've been after all your life?
No, not at all. I got into quizzing quite late in life. I was sort of...
That is bullshit. Like, since I've known you, you've always been on kind of quiz machines in pubs, whenever I've seen you.
Yeah, but there's a different level of quizzing at the top. Most of it's taking a written exam.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, that's how I won the British Quiz Championships. I sat in the same room as a load of other people and answered 240 questions. It was as dramatic as that, ladies and gentlemen.
And do you get, like, a big trophy? Do you get to celebrate
Yeah, I've still got it, but it was 2019, and thanks to COVID, I still have it.
Yes! And did you sort of train before that?
I did train for it, yeah.
Yeah.
Went on an early honeymoon to Berlin with Oliver, my husband, and we just sat in bed and he fired difficult British general knowledge questions at me. It was the kinkiest honeymoon you could possibly imagine.
Was that really what a lovely image that is?
Please don't have that image in your head.
But are you wearing, like, gowns? Are you kind of at least treating yourself in some way?
That's not how Berlin works. It was a rubber catsuit, mate.
Oh, okay.
Rubber catsuit.
OK. Was there any fun on the honeymoon, or was it just...
Yeah. There was fun as well.
Good. We should chat
We
about...
fucked.
We could. Now, here's the question. Was the incentive to fuck part of the... Like, if you get this right, I'll nosh you off. Was it kind of that? Because for me, that's what's missing on quiz shows in the UK. Now, you're part of ITV's Invisible Disabilities campaign.
Yep.
What is that about?
It's about raising awareness of the fact that the people that you see on screen might be hiding stuff that you don't know about. I mean, you can probably see at the moment that my hand is shaking a little bit. But other than that, people don't notice necessarily that I might have something going wrong with me. And what I'm trying to be, as much as possible, is to be an advocate and an open and honest, putting my life out there for people to know about, because I think people need to understand what people are going through. So my affliction, if you like, is Parkinson's disease. But I don't look at it as an affliction. I look at it as the next stage of my life. I look at it as the beginning of something. The show that I've written about the disease is driven with the sort of honesty and take no prisoners attitude to comedy that I wouldn't have if I didn't have this disease. And I think life change your outlook to comedy and what you want to talk about.
Yeah.
And what I want to be is as brutal and as frank a comedian. I mean, not all the jokes land, I'll be honest with you. Sometimes the audience go, did he just say that?
Yeah.
And I remind them, it's my disease and it's my jokes.
And presumably, if you're somebody who, you know, might have Parkinson's or might have some form of disability, that kind of resonates so deep because there's an authenticity to the humour. Do you know what I mean? You're not looking for kind of pity. You're just being piss funny about your... These are observations on your life, I guess.
Pity is the last thing I want, because that suggests a negativity to what's going on in my life. There isn't, and that's what I want to stress.
One thing that interests me about you is, like, you have a real positivity. Is that something that's sort of deep within you? Have you always been that kind of person, or did you have to recalibrate post-Parkinson?
You have no choice, because you want to live your life not just as enjoyably as possible, but as healthily as possible.
Yeah.
And good health comes from having a positive attitude. The other thing, though, is I come from a family of ill people. My dad had a cardiac arrest in 1990, 31 years ago, and is still smiling and going strong. My mum had breast cancer and a double mastectomy in 2008, and the family revolves around my autistic nephew, to be fair. And I'm always reminded by my dad that I'm the fourth most unwell member of the family. I've seen the pragmatism and the positivity that my family have always had with life's problems, and I don't want to be the person that is the opposite of that. So it's been driven by my family, really.
But what the other thing I love about you is that when you set your mind to something, you do it. Like, we've got a beautiful clip here. You might want to explain it. It involves you and a hula hoop.
To cut a long story short, when COVID came along, me and Oliver decided to move away from our small flat to a bigger flat on the outskirts of Surrey, not least because my dad lives less than a mile away from me, and I didn't want to be the reason he might be, you know, I didn't want to be a risk to him.
Yeah.
So we moved out to the outskirts of Surrey, and we ended up staying there for... I ended up getting COVID in the first week of the lockdown, which was great fun. And then when recovering from COVID, I realised we're still in Surrey, and I'm bored out of my mind, so I wanted to set myself a target. And rather randomly, the task was to hula hoop while reciting the entire periodic table. Now, the reason I chose this task is I thought it would take 6 to 8 months to perfect, because I couldn't hula hoop, and I only knew about 50% of the periodic table. That's pretty tough. It's 118. But I had so little to do that I just worked on it day by day by day.
He's not lying. We've actually got you in action.
This is my personal trainer's gym, Simon's gym in Tyrone.
Herbal copper, zinc and gallium, germanium, arsenic and selenium, bromine and krypton, rubidium and strontium, yttrium, zirconium, niobium, molybdenum, technetium, ruthenium, rhodium, palladium and silver, and cadmium and indium and tin. This has been a showboating, but I think we're about halfway in.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome my guest, the wonderful Paul Sinha. Finally tonight, it's Good Deeds, and a place that's offering some respite to couples in their darkest hour.
Hi, I'm Julie.
Hi, I'm Brian.
And we started Baby Loss Retreat. We offer free counselling, trauma therapy and 2 days retreat for bereaved parents. I fell pregnant in 2002. Erin was a lively baby, but at 37 weeks, I felt no movement. We went to a hospital, sat in the scan room, went up in the bed and it went totally quiet. They just said, "I'm really sorry, but we can't find any heartbeat." I felt empty.
Julie's lying there looking confused and asking me questions, and I'm like, I don't know what to answer here. I felt so helpless.
It was kind of like they didn't know where to put us for that support, and the only thing is to give you medication.
For a guy, there was absolutely nothing. There was charities out there, but nobody sat us down singly and said, right, what support do you need?
Ryan could see that I was struggling, and he says, "Why don't we go away on holiday? When you're somewhere else that nobody knows your situation, then you can relax a wee bit."
We thought about what's the best thing that helped us when we lost our baby, and we always go back to when we went on holiday and we sat and talked to each other.
And that's when we decided to do a retreat. We went round Scotland, we found free relocations. Everything's free at the retreat.
It's purely for a time to reflect and isolate yourself from what's happened to you in your traumatic experience.
Me and Lee have been together for 13 years. We welcomed Ollie into our life 7 years ago.
We thought it was a good time just to add to the family. We knew quite early on that we were going to be having twins, a boy and a girl.
About 18-week mark, I was having a wee bit of pain. I woke up 2 days later and just knew something wasn't right. We phoned an ambulance, got to the hospital, and the labour just wasn't stopping. I knew in the back of my head at the stage of gestation I was at that there was no hope for long-term survival. Just a heartbreak that you can't describe.
We found out about the baby loss retreat through some of the information that we got from hospital.
Coming to the retreat for us was so beneficial for our family. We laughed, guilt-free, we smiled, guilt-free, and we spoke about our babies openly, guilt-free, which was just lovely. Julie literally gave a hand and pulled us onto that raft at a time where your whole world's falling apart.
Pain of losing a child never leaves. The most important factor at managing grief is talking about it, to say that it's okay to talk to them about their baby.
I was a dad who struggled. It took me 10 years to open up. Just say, how are you? And if he says, I'm fine, and just say, listen, just to remember, I'm here for you. We work on donations and funding. We've got a website. You can just click contact us, and it comes straight to us, and it's totally confidential.
There are people there that can help.
Thanks so much for watching the show. Good night, my friends. Good night.